It's never been taken care of by David. We're not the big guys in this match, but I think it's the media think we are. You know, the concept of step home syndrome. Arsenal fan who is set to go against when the Premier League fans and discuss the hottest topics all about Arsenal. I brought 2 Arsenal fans today who will bring 4 topics to the table, and they will be up against 20 football fans who will disagree. Fans will have to be first to the chair in order to debate our Arsenal fans. The other 20 fans all have a yellow card, and if they disagree with what someone is saying, they can raise it. And if 10 yellow cards are raised, I'll send them off. They'll then be replaced by another fan until our debates are finished. Each debate is 10 minutes, but once they're done, they're done.
Arsene Wenger is becoming criminally underrated and should sit in everyone's top 3 managers in Premier League history.
Go. Arsene Wenger is becoming criminally underrated and should sit in everybody's top 3 managers. 3?
Top 3. From top 3.
Who's your top 3?
It's Pep, Ferguson and Mourinho.
Yeah, Pep, Ferguson and Wenger. Yeah.
How would Wenger have accomplished more than Mourinho?
It's not entirely about just trophies on the table accomplishments.
No, but like going back to
back. He went back to back. Arsene Wenger never did. Look, Arsene Wenger came in, he won 3 Premier League trophies in his first 8 years. Mm-hmm. Then he went through a long period of struggling to win another major. He didn't win another major. He kept ticking over with FA Cups here and there, which, as we've seen currently, is not necessarily the easiest thing to do. But he was managing a completely different side.
Some questions regarding the match.
To what Mourinho had. And from 2004, when he won his final Premier League trophy, to 2013, Arsenal made a net profit on transfers. Every year, we'd lose our best players and we wouldn't replace them.
You did towards the end, but I do think there was a core there of Fabregas, Van Persie, Nasri, Flair.
Thanks very much.
Like, they were good players in that squad, enough to win maybe an FA Cup or whatever. But when you look at even United, Mourinho winning that Europa League and Cup double that year, I'd say that was maybe a weaker squad at that time. But either way, in terms of like their peaks, in the first 8 years, he wins 3 leagues. Mourinho did that in 5 years and actually did it with 2 different squads, 2 different iterations, 10 years apart. Did back to back. In terms of even like the biggest credit I think is paid to Wenger naturally is like how he changed English culture and catch up and training, and that is massive. I even think in terms of but it's true. He did have a massive impact. He changed diet.
It was more than just catch up, you know.
Yeah, you know what I mean. You know what I mean. But either way, I still think it's probably undersold in terms of Mourinho came to this country when we were a 4-4-2 nation, changed it to one man up top in terms of Drogba. That's how every single team plays now throughout the future. So he changed all that as well, has accomplished far more. I think in terms of like the record set with the defensive record, the going back to back, the points records, and like I said, literally doing it with completely different squads.
No, look, I don't want to take away from Mourinho at all. Obviously, Arsene Wenger did go invincible, never been done since. I know people have their own opinions on that. And I also think the way that he sustained top 4 for as long as he did, think about the amount of Arsenal players that people look back at and they banter, right? The Bentners, the Sender, whoever it is. Arsene Wenger was still getting those teams in the top 4, and you're looking at it now. Think about how often now Big 6 teams are dropping out of the top 4 or 5.
Wouldn't you be a proponent of the league being more competitive now than it was then? I'm not. I'm not saying. I think what Wenger did was very impressive. But I think now you have far more clubs.
But even back then, you know, teams were dropping, switching, and Arsene Wenger kept us there for such a long time. And truthfully, our club would not be where it is now if it wasn't for the fact that he somehow kept us in the Champions League. And look, we never went anywhere in the Champions League. We'd make it through the group. We'd get smashed up by Bayern or Barca. That was kind of what we did. But just getting us to that stage, on top of the fact that he had come to the Premier League, won 3 Premier League trophies, you know, the sort of blot on his resume is that he never won the Champions League, right?
And maybe it's a 1,000th game against Mourinho. Little 6-0 number.
Listen, that's just unfortunate.
No,
I don't think that sways it. It was one game. But no, for me, and also the fact that Mourinho has then, of course he has his accomplishments in the Premier League, he's also, you know, twice been sacked by Chelsea, struggled at United, struggled at Spurs. He's had other opportunities where he's not had the team that at the time were just throwing the most cash, and that is what you did.
Mm-hmm.
When he didn't have the team throwing the most cash, or even at United, they were throwing a lot of cash. He couldn't emulate even, I don't think, what Wenger was able to do with Fowler side.
At the end of the day, like Porto and Inter throwing cash, he did trebles with both.
Yeah, but I'm talking about Premier League.
I know, I'm saying it's in like he wasn't someone that he showed that he could do
in the
those
Premier
things,
League,
but he earned that opportunity to be spending that cash.
Not necessarily.
We did because he showed he did it without. If you can win Champions League with Porto, you're going to earn the right to go to the club and get to spend the cash. But
gone invincible, and then we decimated the squad, and every time we played a good player.
The same. Mourinho went and decimated the league.
Not really.
Yeah, who left in 04?
I can't remember exactly who left in 04. 04, 05, we probably should have competed.
Mourinho came in.
So even by 06, I mean, 04 for me is where, 02 to 04 is where we probably should have won the Champions League. That was where I think we genuinely had the best squad on the planet.
The 02 03 season, they were, I think, Arsenal 8 points
in March. So between 02 and,
They should have gone 3 back-to-back, really, through that one.
I still just think 3 Premier Leagues. And back to my original point, Mourinho is the one that you can flip-flop. This entire opinion came from a TikTok where someone had Jurgen Klopp in the top 5.
You wouldn't have Jurgen Klopp in your top 3 either.
Not in top 3. I wouldn't have him in top 5.
Really? Who would you have out?
Oh, sorry.
Or would you have him 5th?
Yeah, I have 5th. Yeah, sorry.
And you say Mourinho had Klopp?
No, he had someone else in there as well.
Do you not think
I can't remember.
Klopp doing every trophy, or actually you didn't do the Europa League, but like doing a Champions League and the league in terms of getting those 99, 98 points or whatever, do you not think that would eclipse accomplishment-wise what Wenger did?
No, I don't think so.
You think Wenger's longevity there adds a lot more to it as well?
Because it's so much harder. Klopp left because he got tired and he couldn't handle the Premier League anymore. Like, I genuinely do think it's massively...
Is there an argument to say that Wenger's era of the Premier League wasn't as demanding?
No, I don't think so. I don't think so.
That's it then.
I think people forget, like, we had torrid times against Boltons and, you know, there were awful teams to go up against. So, no, I think the fact that he did that whilst operating on a net profit over the course of a decade after 2004, you just wouldn't see it now. Most managers that come in now get a huge amount of money given to them to go out and build the squad that they want to build, including Jurgen Klopp.
I think if you've got Arteta's back in, you'd have done more in these last few years.
Not in the last few years.
Let's say you'd had the Wenger for that 10 years. If he'd had that level of investment, do you think he would have done more?
Yeah, if we'd been spending equivalent to Chelsea City through that period.
I just think it's like how Arsenal operated. They spent obviously more.
You can't equate like 200 million now to that. But in terms of if we were matching what Chelsea were spending at the time and what City were spending at the time, so we weren't losing out on that front, I think we definitely would have won.
At the gym group, loads of our quality equipment with a 10x for breakfast group. For just $15.99 a month with no contract for the super savvy group. And of course, the Jelliness group. For every group, there's the gym group.
We're BetMGM Casino, coming to you live from the Strip, straight to your fingertips. BetMGM Casino is the UK's only online casino with real Vegas roots. Play all of your favorite games, plus BetMGM exclusives. And if that ain't enough, how's this for a warm Vegas welcome?
I don't have much more.
Fair enough. Okay, well done, Sage. Anybody else want to jump up? Well, it could be something said to be a bit more about Klopp as well. I'm not going to lie. Welcome, Pythag. How are you feeling?
Welcome.
Feeling smaller for some reason. Presence of
the table is higher. The table is higher, I think, than normal.
So did you just say that Jurgen Klopp wouldn't be in your top 5?
No, he would be 5th.
Okay.
But Wenger would be ahead of Jurgen Klopp?
Yes, yeah.
All right, so for me, Jurgen Klopp would be in my top 3.
Top 3?
Yes.
And you are?
I'm a United fan.
Yeah.
Now, the reason why is, even outside of Liverpool, I think Jurgen Klopp's contribution to tactical innovation with the Gegenpress was incredible. I think he revolutionized modern football after Pep's cycle with Barca. I think when you look at what he's done with Liverpool, if you look at the team, what it looked like before he joined, post Rodgers, and what he did to that team is pretty much a complete revolution. He's won the Champions League as well as the Premier League, first Premier League in 30 years. You said yourself, and Jamie Carragher said the Champions League means more than the Premier League. You even said yourself you'd love to see a Champions League before a Premier League. He did both. Wenger didn't.
Yeah.
Now, if you look at Wenger's initial first Arsenal team, the foundation of that defence, who was it built by?
What? Wenger, so Tony Adams.
Yeah, but who built that? Which coach?
George Graham.
Yeah. So that's George Graham's back line. And then
that wasn't what... Yeah, okay, sorry, Karen.
No, but that was the foundation. If you look at Arsene Wenger's teams, why did they become weaker over time? It's because of the defensive side of the game. They became physically weak as a team. Spine got weaker over time. Whereas with Jurgen Klopp's team, he's built that team in his image and he's conquered all of Europe. And
has conquered multiple Champions League finals as well.
Yeah.
And he was unlucky with that Ramos.
But again, a club went and broke a record bringing in Van Dijk. Wenger was not given the money to spend to bring in top level.
But finances changed, aren't they? So in terms of what was a big fee in the 90s,
if you take the sums out of it, if you actually just look at the amount, I mean, Arsenal literally made a profit, a net profit, which was, even Spurs spent 100 million net in that period. It was the fact that we were going from those players, from your Adams and then Keown's and then Torres to Squillaci's and Sandros, and then later Mustafi.
You're back for with Tony Adams.
Of course,
let's just say,
but even Ashley Cole, prime example, right? Ashley Cole left Arsenal because we wouldn't pay him £5 grand a week more.
Yeah, no, I get that. I get that financially you were hamstrung with the move from
Absolutely.
Yeah, I agree with that. So what I'm saying is you don't need to build that back four because that back four is already given to you. Now, imagine that back four. You've got Tony Adams, who I think Tony Adams is one of the greatest British centre-backs ever, right? That's their version of a Van Dijk. They had to buy Van Dijk in, but it hasn't because George Graham's already given it.
Yeah, fine, but in that period, Arsenal came in within his first 2 years. He did the League Cup double. He won 3 Premier Leagues in that first 8 years. It's what I'm talking about.
He won the Premier League, right?
Yeah, and that's fine.
So my point is that if you look at the time scale from George Graham to Wenger, Arsenal are already seen as one of the top teams in the country. Now, of course, whereas Liverpool, of course, was seen as a top club, but in terms of how they're actually playing, they weren't seen as like, that's 30 years worth of league that they've had to go and win, whereas what Wenger's had to do there isn't as revolutionary, if that makes sense.
It's not, I mean, the revolution for him was not to do with the defence, it was the way that we played football, and of course that became, some of, if not the best football. I think certainly the best football in the world at the time, and I do think we went so far down that road, and you're right, but I don't necessarily, what I'm saying is, I don't think that's necessarily true with Arsenal, but wanting to move away from having a solid defensive structure, I just don't think he was given the tools to have that solid. Even when we brought in like Miguel Clichy after we lost that goal, we then lose him to Man City. We went through that period where Liverpool, for example, after Poch came in, was strengthening. Arsenal were deteriorating, and I think the fact that he still managed to maintain top 4 status for the whole time, the fact that he's still able to pick up an FA Cup here or there, I think that is significant.
I'm going to put there because otherwise every single time so far I've let it run past 10 minutes, so I've got to put it down somewhere, guys. Good. Well done, great debate.
Oh no, I'm just feeling so down about Spurs. We're going for that.
I don't care. But what I do care about is you guys at home subscribing. I've got a big goal hitting 100,000 subscribers. If you're not already subscribed, please take 3 seconds. It means things like today can happen more often. Go down there, subscribe. I'll really appreciate it.
I believe that in this decade, Bukayo Saka has been top 5 winners in the Premier League.
In this decade, Willie believes that Bukayo Saka has been top 5 wingers in the league. This decade being from 2020. So within the last 6 years. Anybody want to come up and debate that? Bukayo Saka has been top 5 wingers in the league.
Mo Salah, yeah. Goodman Song's won a golden boot in that time, yeah. Sadio Mane still had a golden in that time, yeah. City wingers, Sterling, I don't pronounce that section. Mars as well. No, I don't pronounce it. What I said. But Mars as well. And I put Mars in that side. Okay, and 20 wingers on Saturday. You have number 4. I have him fifth. Based on what? Based on the consistency that he's shown in the Premier League, he's won double-digit goals in his 3 times in that Champions League Player of the Year in 2023. Also got double-digit goal season 4 out of 6 times as well. Bearing in mind the first half of that season playing left back. Also, I've also won a FA Cup as well as Arsenal Player of the Year, I think 3 times. There's England Player of the Year back-to-back. No one's done that in that Champions League as well. Yeah, they're going to choose the England Player of the Year. If you use your elite, but I'd argue that City winners in that period, the Marses, the Sterlings, even during that lockdown period. They won the league. They're better players around them. If they were put in a team where they would have known that, with their thought they're going to win this, but also, if Saka goes 2 years, the last 18 months, what's he done? Really?
Well, I think last season was actually, of course, having a record-breaking season. I think that's
only 3 Liverpool actually. Well, about 33%, maybe.
Well, when you talk about, for example, when we're talking about top wingers, the main thing we always talk about is consistency. That's the reason why I talk about some of the best in the world that win the Ballon d'Ors or whatever. I'm not saying I can necessarily at that level yet,
But what I am saying is that in the time period that he's been in the Premier League, I think he's shown that consistency week in, week out more than the Sterling has. When Lamar, they have been consistent against that for teams in that time period. Would you say that Saka's best season, which is what, 23-22? Yeah, would you say that was better than Lamar's lockdown season, Lamar's 21-22 for City? It depends what you believe, because Mara obviously in those cases was to help them win a Premier League title.
Yeah,
exactly. I don't really think he was the most important attacker in that time period. I thought Foden had a great season, good on the scoring clutch goals as well. Yeah. I do think Saka, without him in that Arsenal team, wouldn't have helped me. He's really gone second. I was thinking in our second season, he played out on the right hand side for City for last year. That time, watched him have Bernardo Silva as well. I disagree. Definitely, you wouldn't have Bernardo Silva over Saka. No, not as a winger. I wouldn't say as a winger. As a player, winger. But in that treble season, he did play out wide on the right. There were also periods where maybe out of position he playing left back. I think he did that against Arsenal at the Emirates, and they were playing the back three, and then he's incredibly versatile. Saka played left back as well. He's got experience. When we're talking about like consistency as a winger, Bernardo has had the consistency as a winger. Yeah. I think it's great jackable trade. I'd also argue that Cole Palmer, in his best season in Chelsea, played on the right hand side, pulled back, and is that sort of three behind the striker for Chelsea. I think Palmer's 23-24 season better than Saka's done as well. And with the thing about Saka, you are talking about 2 years, but 1 year where the 23-24 season was amazing. No, I think the 21-22 season, him and Smith Rowe, and then even last season as well, when you talk about him coming back, he's one of the main reasons why we beat Real Madrid. When you talk about the frequency of the Ramadan, both fantastic games, scored a City, the Bernabeu, the type of thing. He's scored in the semi-final. I'm a Spurs fan. I rate Saka, I think, harder than a lot of other people do in the general football narrative, but I still don't think he's had that season where I'd look at him and go, that was a world-class season. I don't think Saka's ever been world-class. I think he's been borderline, but not quite world-class. And I especially think he's dropped off the last 2 years. Some likely to injury, but I think that has also knocked him further back from being world-class. Do you think we'll see a Saka away? I think those injuries have hampered him physically, but I think he can return to that level. He's young still. But I still think that even Palmer's one season, I think Palmer should have won the PFA Player of the Year that year. Foden did. Saka's never hit that level where I go, he's the best player in the Premier League. Which I think all of those wingers that I mentioned have hit that level. Across the whole season, you could probably say that case. I do think in a lot of cases, though, in periods of the season, large periods as well, there has definitely been points where you could say Saka's been the best player. I mean, 22-23, he had a very long case, especially when Salah was kind of struggling, especially at the beginning. He was the best player in the league in that period. He might have been for a stretch of the second game, but never over the course of the season. But then again, he's never been in the conversation for PFA Player of the Year. But we're talking about consistency, though. That's not when it comes to top for 2 years. But lots of wings in that period have been consistent for 2 years. In 2 years, we suffered. It's not 2 years, actually. How long is it? Well, 2022 to 2024. 2022, 2021, I'd say even maybe 2023, 2020, 2020, 2021. Had a decent go-to season there. And then obviously 21-22, finding his feet a lot more as Arsenal became better. 22-23, I'd say, was his first year. We're like, okay, he is now in the conversation for one of the best right wings of them. 23-24 was his best year. Yeah, but still, those seasons, like, I thought 24-25 with the minutes they actually played as well, had a fantastic season, in my opinion, as well. 24-25 last season. Yeah, with the minutes they played. And also, I want to ask you a question. Who would you put above Saka? So I'd have Son above him in that period of time. I'd have Salah and Mane above him in that period of time. I agree. I'd have Mahrez, and I'd have Bernardo Silva if you class him as a winger. I'd also have Cole Palmer if you class, because his best season was on the right. Chelsea, I'd have Cole Palmer for that one season. It's difficult because, again, Palmer has dropped off the last, sort of, especially the last 6 months of the season. Yeah. Because, like, it is difficult. I don't think, my point is, I don't think Saka's nailed on for that top 5 at all. You think he's nailed on in that top 5 over Sterling or Mahrez, in my opinion. Just because of what they've done again in the previous decade, I don't think they were as good in comparison to even Mahrez seasons in those. More so, rather than looking at what they've done in the 2010s, look at more at what I think Saka during the last 6 years. I mean, after the Spurs side of the told for years that part of my players are obviously because they won one title by Arsenal fans a lot of the time. It's like, and you do the same for Saka. I mean, in this case, I know Saka now the best season is essentially going to win a title, isn't it? You just have to find that. Yeah.
And discuss the Saka being a top 5 winger from the year 2020. Anybody fancy it? Everybody agrees then. If you don't agree, or you feel like you can. Well, go on, Alice, then.
It's a lot of questions because I really rate Saka.
A question absolutely fine.
Is it like strictly Premier League? Because I'm thinking Elise. If like, but his last season at Palace was nuts. Like, I think it was probably better than Saka season.
Yeah, I think he feels that in the Premier League all the time, and I've left the time.
Would you argue Elise is better than Saka?
I wouldn't say that Elise's time in the Premier League was better than Saka. It's just because he had a lot of injury issues in the last 2 seasons before he left. I think his first season initially when he was there, he was still kind of getting used to it. I think the back of the 23-24 was arguably the best we've seen from him, especially in the Premier League. But again, when we're talking about Saka, how long he's been doing it for. I remember before the game, I think he started 85 Premier League games in a row before he missed one game against City in 23-24. So when you're talking about that level, every single week, he knows how it is. I do always say in big moments, in the big games, when you knew that at the time, he steps up.
Yeah, if you're getting longevity in just Premier League, then you have to go see whatever Elise say. But I was saying if you're including immediate quality,
one game of, let's say, Saka Prime versus Elise Prime.
In the Premier League,
that's a good question. Since last season, you got like both contributions.
more about
Sure.
I still got because not only what physically you can do with intelligence and with football, it's amazing, and it still kind of shows that to the same now. In terms of the fact that his body isn't necessarily as great as it used to be due to the injuries, but he's still able to refine himself and play at a good level. So,
Isn't it around the... It's a little bit different to what you said, but look...
Hi, sorry, can we just grab a moment of your time?
Is there... Are you worried with me?
I'll be honest. Mainly because I said like the physical, it's not the same level as it was before. If I'm being honest, in terms of the pace and all of that's not really there. But I do think that he can refine himself. Maybe I don't know. Maybe as a number 10 or whatever.
Thank you for your time.
He doesn't play as close to goal as like Salah and other wingers. He has to do a lot more defensive work. He's a lot further out wide. I do think if Arteta actually gave him the freedom to be a bit closer to goal, a bit less defensive work, and actually played a bit of attacking football, it probably benefits Saka more.
I mean, the best times when we played the most attacking football, 23-24, we scored the most points ever in our Premier League history. That was when he was at his best. So.
Off topic, do you think Arteta's holding back Saka and Martinelli?
I don't think. I mean, Martinelli. I mean, is tough.
Is Martinelli a lost cause?
Potentially, I'll be honest. I think with Saka though, I think it's a bit of both. I think initially yes, but also I think the board didn't really advocate him enough during the time to bring in the right winger. I mean,
I've had plans, but I have had so many reigns. And the thing to do, it seems to me, is to prepare yourself so that you can be a rainbow in somebody else's sky. Be a rainbow.
Is five expensive? If you value your health and you understand what eating good quality can do for your body, for your motivation,
Arteta doing the best that he can. I think Madueke has gone a lot of minutes and he's allowed Saka to get a bit of a rest, but I do think the damage might be done.
There's a longevity, I agree, Saka, top 5, but we're going off the very best.
Can managers' tactics have an effect? Like, for instance, if for a few years, I know the time is about to go, but I'll just finish this. Can a manager's tactics have an effect where, for the last few years, he's kind of maybe told Saka, like, we've got to be a bit more conservative, you can't be as free as, like, maybe we're watching with as maybe we're watching with, say, Nona Madueke. Sometimes when I feel like you watch Madueke, he has, maybe because he's not had the last few years that Saka's had, we've been told to maybe be a bit conservative.
Yeah.
Do you think that has maybe a slight knock-on effect? Like, if a new manager came in tomorrow and was like, Saka, you're free to do whatever you want, we'd see that?
I think so. I think, as I said again, it depends definitely on the player. I think you can see it for England as well, to be fair. When England also dominate the ball a bit more in attacking situations, you see the best of Saka. I think by Harry Kane, the last few scores, he's the top goal scorer. He does it in the big tournaments as well, so I think that might be the case. But
good debate, guys. Good debate. Smashed it. If you guys want to be on the next video, then make sure you head over to my Instagram, head over to my Twitter, head over to all my social media, and give me a follow. I normally put out a message saying, on this day at this location, I'm shooting and need fans. All the people here have done exactly that by reaching out to me, and you can be one of them in the next video by doing just that.
Arsenal will win the Premier League this season.
As simple as that. Arsenal win the Premier League this season. Let's go. In the build-up to this, Arsenal are about to play Man City at the Etihad.
Preface, we've not yet played Man City. If we lose, my opinions are subject to change.
Alex, welcome. Go ahead.
So, think the Etihad game will be the decider, and I think if you draw or win, I think you do it. I think you've had the squad depth to maybe just go over the line, but I think if you lose at the Etihad, which I think you might because it's the Etihad, and I look at the Carabao Cup final and your record at the Etihad, I think it's kind of in City's hands, bar goal difference, but Burnley is their game in hand. I think right now, the way it is, I look at City are playing the very best football they have all season. City's best month on the Pep is April. You are playing your very worst football you've played all season right now. And you're losing 4 against you, and you're pushing the bar to us. They've got to be careful themselves, which is really, I think, it's a nice maybe, but the other place I don't know.
If we lose the Etihad, I think we're in trouble. But we firstly the Etihad have actually not got that bad record that recently. When we lost, we've got Rob Holding at the back.
Yeah.
Since then, I mean, even last year we drew to all before I got sent off. We were 2-1 up. They need the last minute equaliser, and then I think we can do. I think we'll get a draw, and that's why I'm kind of going with that. We're also we're not capitulating as much as I think we can do with the reaction there. This idea that City have kind of hit this strike that because of the way it was with the international break and UK World Cup, they do get 2 wins for the West Ham and they have great games against Chelsea, Liverpool and Chelsea. But I don't think that's where the problem lies for them. I think the problem actually lies in those teams that will sit in and counter. I look at some of their fixtures back. They've still got Everton, they've still got Brentford, they've still got Bournemouth. They're kind of sticky games, yeah. So I think if we come out of that game against Man City, which I think we can come out of with a draw, or then I think we go on.
I think if you draw, it's definitely probably in your favour. City, Arteta has a good record against the Big Six, and again, you only need a draw. You're never really playing to win. I feel like Pep in those big games, look what he did to Liverpool, look what he did in the final. I know it was obviously in the Champions League back by Man City, but not Man City by Real Madrid. But I just feel like Man City have that mentality and that hunger and that confidence for us in games where they just don't panic now. And that makes me think they're going to win. But if you draw, then I'm with you. I think you do it because you win.
If we do lose, obviously, they'll play a game down in Burnley, and the goal difference you probably flip to their on the same number of still look at it, I think it's not just a big problem. I don't think they're the team. If you go back 2 games, they've got 21 points, we've got 20. Over the last 20 games, we've got 41, they've got 40. Really, over any stretch of the last 20 games, we're kind of easy. They're playing so kind of games where we've got quite easy around. Yeah, it does work, and I think that will be make or break on. Not just if we lose the league, they need to pick up on a favour like that, particularly if they stay with the police today, the Valentine game. It's the mentality of 2 or a bit of both, and both of them will stand down to the market, using the way that we can, and also the way that we play for it.
Ability to get over the line in the sense of like you're very good defensively and you've been very reliable in defence. But when you need to win a game, sometimes obviously you've got set pieces which you're good at and you've got moments in I think you've won a lot of games you can play great. This isn't just a sign of like 20 minutes now. But do you worry because City have got the Chelsea, the Simeone's got Beckham, that quality, City have played hard and maybe have the quality to do this. There's a West Ham relegation battle, they're going to be there for it.
Yeah, it's just I still think Saka is our best defensive player, and he's level this season, so I think we're okay. But what else might have said defensive capacity for him? It's different for the research. It's it.
Seriously, I'll leave it there.
Well done. Alex, good debate. Anybody else want to come up and argue that Arsenal won't win from this very well, good result for you guys after you
one time earlier in the corner. I think Havertz had it just over the line. Yeah, we couldn't feel that I know what you're saying. It's City having confidence. We have to play City. I feel a lot more scared to play City, especially after what they just did to Chelsea. Where do you see your goals coming out? Is it really got you scared? Generally speaking, bounce back from the big this season, you look at the ones that have gone on after each back on the teams, they haven't good, despite the Germans with it, but yeah, I think the lack of control that we have is something that we need to bring back. That was even in games where we went through a long period of just winning games 1-0, 2-0. So you might be 1-0 up with half an hour to go, and you can see the double play after that. You never felt like you were going to it. But I backed up after it. And then went through and couldn't become back in. And then you questionable one. But once you get to it, and I think that's a backed up effort to figure it out. Do you think even now seeing how it is to you, especially with that press, obviously that's something that's particular to us, but do you think other teams may see that and see this weakness of the exposure? So, and you kind of always said, oh, we need teams to press us and we need teams to attack us so that we've got that space, but actually you did it and you stopped us. So that's not necessarily true, but I don't think there are many teams in the Prem that can do what you did. I actually think if you've got, again, like, Champions League games, you're tired now in the season, you're not feeling like that. This is coming into the back end where arguably still probably a deeper squad. Players that are more experienced, so those who have these games, and then they've got the mentality. Possibly, I mean, obviously they've got their top 1 finals, and then probably a top final in between that, so any finals for them. Southampton, no offense, Southampton are a fantastic side, actually, so really very good side. Look, I'm concerned. I'm not going to sit here and pretend like everything's glory and we're going to walk it, but I do think every time that we thought that City was on that, every time that we've kind of opened the door for them again, with draw against Wolves, everyone has this mindset in their back that it's City, and City is what City do, and so far, they're just not done. And the two draws against Spain, so, a question for me, if you pick one or the other, what would you do? Obviously, it gives me goals.
the other way, they've never capitalised on their second goals either. Like, he's been both of us this season, all season, yeah, top points,
Hang on a minute. Is that the way you think it is on the screen? It's not me.
Again, there's a shot before they play Man City. There is not a single manager in world football that could do better than Mikel Arteta.
Oh, hi there. I've just got a couple of questions about the match.
3, 2, 1, go. There's not a single manager that could do better for Mikel.
It all starts with a spin, opening up the whole world of fun. From your free daily spin on the Sky Vegas prize machine to competing for prizes with real prizes, right through to...
Thanks so much for your time.
Download the Sky Vegas app and see where your next spin takes you. Some stories are so great, they stay with you forever. A lifetime of great stories awaits on Disney Plus.
You get that to me, bro. No, I'm just... Look. Get close to the mic. Go on, make sure you get close. I want to play devil's advocate. Yeah, it's good. Look, I'm an Arsenal fan. I love Mikel Arteta, but why do you think? I think since when he came into this league and when he came to Arsenal, up until now, I don't think there's a manager in the world, in that time period especially, that can do what Arteta's done with Arsenal. I think they won't have the patience, first of all, to look through the current players that we had at the time, get them the FA Cup as well, then on top of that, get them off the wage bill with an atrocious board and chairman that wasn't necessarily an investment at the time. Wait for that investment, get that investment, and then on top of that, still be in a position where you go from not relegation necessarily, but mid-table to a point now where we're consistently meant to be challenging for Premier League titles. That's all. So I totally agree. Between 2019, I would say, up until 2024, I don't think so. I agree with you. But do you think from the time period that Arsenal got fantastic, Arsenal became one of the best teams in the world, do you not think there's a manager out there? Because in the time period, obviously, we're talking about 2019 to 2026. Yeah. So from 2024 onwards, do you not think there's another manager in the world that can get more attacking quality out of our players? Do you not think there's a manager in the world that can get more juice out of our players in a way where, for example, Luis Enrique, but also, like, for me, I always say it, we are a team that we don't attack from the middle of the pitch. Yeah, 100%. I think that's unforgivable. Like, the way that we play football, I don't particularly enjoy it. It's to a point, okay, I'm happy that we're getting the results, but at some point, we got to say, okay, we are not playing football conducive of the league. From 2024 to now, maybe there could be a manager, a more attacking manager, that could get the best out of this team, but it doesn't show that you can play that type of football and can score goals. The main issue that we have now, you talk about Enrique in his first season at PSG, it probably says a failure that they knocked out in the semi-final by Dortmund. Didn't necessarily have the squad that he wanted to go ahead and win those big trophies as well. He still needed a year to get all the way to the back over, whoever, assemble his team, then go again in the major area. I think with Arteta, up until 2024, if you, for example, sack him off and you bring in a manager maybe that can play more attacking football, is there a manager that can, in that next 2 years, pick Man City, pick a very good local team last year as well, that can be titled? I don't see it. Yeah, 100%. But I also want to look at potential recruitment. So this past summer, everyone was saying that we needed it. Like they've been injured, and Jesus physically wasn't the same anymore. And we go and sign Victor. Now, lo and behold, he's our top scorer this season. Fantastic. 18 Premier League, or 18 goals, sorry. I'm saying, you don't think that another manager would have seen, for example, the deficiencies in what we think, especially for our game model here, whereby strikers have to drop into midfield, strikers have to essentially link the back line and the front line together. I agree with you. Do you not think there was a manager out there that could have seen, okay, maybe it was the sporting director, maybe it was Bertha that said, hey, we've got a play ready for him, we want to like the top, and I can't say, not really completely, but we've seen the players, and especially on the midfield and our back line, they don't gel well. I think on a lot of bases you're right, but at the same time, the point that you said there towards the end, I don't believe that Victor was a Mikel Arteta signing, especially for the whole last summer, and this summer we went into Benjamin Sesko, and that's probably going to be the signing until maybe a lot of players from the outside or seeing the situation with there's Isak going to Naples or Antonio Movici. I think one of Isak from after year 2020 and couldn't get him. So in that case, you also have to go on and go ahead and sign up for it. As it worked out, I mean, time will tell. For the most part, I mean, right now, you said about football score, it's going to be titled, maybe it does. I reckon you might get a new striker sink. But I still think that, for example, if he's able to win a Premier League title, maybe with Checkers up front, I think that's really good for Man United. 100%. And for the record, I love Mikel Arteta. I love his football club.
You've been advocate.
Yeah,
I just think you could just
get to the next level.
If you could, quickly, and I don't know if you could replace, whilst, he's just not there anymore, is what it is. You do new manager, who would you want to do it?
I mean, unrealistic and realistic, probably. Unrealistic. I'll take Seth Fabregas.
Ah, perfect.
Great stuff at Como. Maybe it's ugly, some of that quality over actually. It's good story. Good story.
Well, thank you, mate. Well done, well done. Anybody else want to come up and debate? Very quick. Disrespecting the other card.
Hold on a second. It's not about money.
Okay, go on then.
We've got angry with the state of it. So I think we're good to qualify as a Premier League fan now. So I get out of that.
Yeah, that could be the ultimate jinx, by the way. That could be the ultimate jinx, for sure. Coventry doing very well.
So you're going to sit here and tell me, in the same time period at Arsenal, at Guardiola, he was on the UK, and you played, and would have done a better job at Arsenal, and the fact that he was done in the football league at Arsenal. Well, first of all, I don't see how Burnley was going to have a big fight to take Guardiola to take over at City. If obviously Pep was available, he's arguably the greatest manager of all time. Of course, I'm not speaking to any manager that was available. Yeah, for the most part, I think every manager. How many slots were the most coolest managers I've seen? I'm saying managers. I'm saying all the managers that either have been available or maybe teetering with potentially leaving clubs or whatever. In 2019 and 20, with the current squad that we had at the time, even if Guardiola is unheard of really.
Get the news. Samsung Galaxy S26 on the UK. Circle and searching out button.
It should be with a very small minimal squad of masculinity. I think that you can't do it. We've kind of seen it before. To go from the team that you had back then to the position we're in now, I don't think there's a manager more qualified who could have done a better job than Arteta. I believe that either. But when you talk about the job that he's done, yes. In your opinion, what is the job that he's done? Because I'm looking at other managers who were available in that time, like I just said, who've come into clubs and done more than Arteta at that specific club. Again, if they'd come into Arsenal, I reckon it probably would have been the same, if not more, because Arsenal's squad, we talk about it as if it's not a Premier League title, like, who hasn't got enough quality to win the league, it's probably more than enough quality. The squad that he walked in, the squad that he's in, okay, and there's a lot of other managers that have been available in that time, that could also build the squad, just the same that he had. Not necessarily with the investment and the money that at the time when he came in, he didn't have. The reason why I actually went in for Arteta because he didn't necessarily have the money to get a big top manager. So we had more choice.
Aubameyang, really big. Lacazette, really big.
That's the actual decisions. You have to get those people off the wing for players that weren't ready to play his style. Bear in mind that how many times you see managers, especially like over the past years in that time stage, managers have struggled to put and assemble their style of play straight away. Arteta done that. From minute one, from the first game, you could tell how he wanted to play. You could tell that the players were buying into it. So you don't think there's any managers 6 years that would have come into Arsenal and all they've achieved is changing the style of play in 6 years. I mean, what kind of sleep? I can't be focused for really. No, what's the thing?
What do you think, I guess? We are texting now. If you do go on to win the Premier League, do you think if you had someone like, I don't know why you could get that illusion, but he's such a fun manager, he's done one of the most incredible, incredible, because the money and stuff, but he's done and taken that PSG side that lost all his key players and made them really attacking, made them more of a team. If you had someone like that and maybe played a better style of football, maybe you have a better chance at winning the Premier League. I think it's always, if you're saying, if I said that PSG squad really win the Premier League. No, I mean, so to say, he was at Arsenal, but he had a bit more of an attacking flair, and during the time, you think he might have won the Premier League if he had done that. I don't know, to be honest, because when you look at, for example, Enrique in between Barcelona, he was in Spain, he was over there, also had a Zalatico as well, and then on top of that, he finally came to Portugal again, and they've done a assembled that, but he even needed time for it and money to assemble a squad
I don't know if the players that we have currently would fit this style of play. Hence why initially, if he comes in straight away, I don't know if we'll be able to get the defender out.
I think there's also an argument as well that if we did draw that concept, the other relationship with Arsenal before, any other manager when I say the first got in charge, they might not have been given that same amount of time.
Yeah.
You know, there were a few Arteta was kind of a surprise that he made it through as the manager at the end of the season, wasn't he?
Yeah. I agree with that.
Yeah. So if you don't, let's just say in a hypothetical world, you don't end up winning the Premier League and the Champions League this season, would you sack him?
That's a different conversation. Let's find out.
I'm just asking you those questions. Like, just yes or no.
If we don't win nothing,
You don't win every rest of the season.
I think conversation is whether
Conversation, it depends.
if I can see you have to stay in the job for next season. If I can see that it's solely the manager's fault, then yes. If it's not, then again,
For 7 years, wouldn't it surely be down to the manager?
we don't have a competition on this.
How are we bringing out that question at the end of the season? We actually just got a well done, but smashed it. Pretty closely, jumping, finishing the game.
This is literally the opposite, but you're aware of the concept of Stockholm syndrome.
End it there. So there we have it. That's been one Arsenal side up against 20 football fans discussing all things. Thank you so much, Lee. Thank you so much, Rory, wherever you are, for coming on. There will be links to that on this video. I'm going to go to the channel. You can check out in the description below. You can do it on that video. You can put it on the post to be doing. And if you just all agree with these statements, thank you guys.
If you've been doing blackface for more than 5 years, start spinning. We're looking for people in youth business and tech business very interested in data and education. And our business is based on having business. Actively about 360.
Some questions regarding the match? Thanks, that's all.